Es Patricio del Boca, que tenemos aquí hoy, al que vamos a entrevistar. De hecho, bueno, el título de el programa es Desmontando el colonialismo digital. Cuando el hilo de Desmontando me recordaba Desmontando a Harry, la película de Woody Allen, ¿no? Digo, vamos a intentar desmontar un poco a Patricio del Boca, contando un poco tu historia y qué es lo que estás haciendo. Aparte del currículum, que bueno, ya lo ha leído la compañera y también en el programa lo tenéis. Él le encanta la música, ha estudiado guitarra, ha estudiado piano, ha estudiado canto, no sé, igual al final con el piano te podías arrancar aquí un poquito también.
No, pero es ideal porque Watermark de Enya fue una de las canciones por las cuales aprendí a tocar el piano.
Sí, bueno, pues mira, luego al final le da un ratito, a ver si también hace 2 por 1. Él vive en Ámsterdam, es argentino, pero está a caballo entre Argentina y Ámsterdam, de hecho ha venido aquí a Málaga desde Ámsterdam. Es la primera vez que visita Málaga. Y te ha conocido Barcelona, Valencia, pero Málaga le ha gustado, ¿eh? Y además está pensando mudarse a España. Yo ya le he vendido Málaga, ya le he dicho todas las ventajas que tiene la ciudad, en fin, todas las cosas positivas. Incluso el precio de la vivienda le ha parecido alto, pero bueno, comparado con Ámsterdam todavía se mantiene la cosa, ¿eh? Y nada, igual te tenemos aquí viviendo en... ¿Vete a saber? Bueno,
¿Quién sabe el año que viene?
¿Quién sabe?
Probablemente.
Bueno, vamos a hablar un poco de tu trayectoria. Y tú empezaste como activista ya de adolescente, o sea, ya desde niño ya tenía ese impulso ahí, ¿no? de defender los derechos de los ciudadanos, ¿no? De hecho, bueno, empezaste como adolescente en un segmento de derechos humanos, además con 2 asuntos muy duros, ¿no? Sobre todo en Argentina, con el tema de los hijos de desaparecidos de la dictadura militar argentina y luego también con la causa palestina, ¿no? ¿Cómo fueron esos inicios? ¿Cómo te metes ahí?
Sí, bueno, yo empecé como activista a los 15 años. Ahí empecé como activista de derechos humanos por la causa de los hijos desaparecidos de Argentina, como vos mencionaste, debido a la cercanía que tenía con casos similares. Por suerte mi familia no, si bien mis padres fueron perseguidos políticamente, no tengo familiares desaparecidos, pero compañeros míos de la secundaria tenían familiares, tíos desaparecidos, y fue gracias a ellos que empecé a encontrar en el activismo en contra de la dictadura militar y a favor de la reparación histórica y la justicia, empecé a encontrar un nicho de colaboración interna, y luego a través de difusiones internacionales, cuando el Internet empezó a tomar nuestras vidas, empecé a conocer la causa palestina, y gracias a la causa palestina encontré Amnistía Internacional y me involucré con Amnistía Internacional y empecé mis épocas de militancia con 15 años en Amnistía Internacional, en donde en aquellas épocas la militancia y el activismo era... Amnistía Internacional detectaba causas en distintos lugares de violación de derechos humanos y a través de un newsletter te daban una carta que vos imprimías o escribías a mano, la firmabas con tu nombre y la enviabas por correo a alguna autoridad de esa ciudad. Entonces, claro, el objetivo era que la autoridad de esa ciudad recibiera 3.000 cartas de gente de todo el mundo como diciendo, che, sabemos lo que estás haciendo, queremos explicaciones.
¿Y os respondían o no?
¿Cómo?
¿Os respondían o no?
No, nunca respondían, pero bueno, era una forma. Y recuerdo la primera reunión, tenía 15 años y fui a la primera reunión de Amnistía Internacional en Córdoba, o del grupo local. Y claro, yo, 15 años, con toda gente que en esa época eran viejos, probablemente mi edad en ese momento. Y bueno, nunca encontraba por ahí un lugar para activistas, pero bueno, me abrí paso.
De hecho, bueno, una de las cosas que quiere reivindicar aquí Patricio es eso, es el impulso de la juventud, la gente joven, ¿no? Que se involucre. Él con 15 años, pues mira, ya estaba metido en todas estas historias. Ahora con 15 años los niños están con la Play y gracias, ¿no? O sea, ¿crees que hace falta eso, más implicación de la juventud para defender los derechos de los ciudadanos?
Sí, me parece que... Bueno, con el que he hablado de esta conferencia, le he dicho, me encanta que haya juventud en esta conferencia, y me parece que hay que involucrarla y hay que escucharla. Y no hay que hablar por ellos, hay que dejar que ellos hablen. O sea que para el próximo Empoder Live quiero un par de adolescentes acá hablando sobre... Porque sí, no, los chicos usan mucho redes sociales en la escuela. Y bueno, ¿por qué no le preguntamos a ellos por qué lo utilizan? Entonces me gustaría ver más jóvenes acá y me gustaría hablarle también a los jóvenes, porque yo estuve en su lugar, quise militar, quise hacer activista, no me daban bolilla. Tenía buenas intenciones, obviamente soy un experto, pero bueno, enséñame. Así que sí, quiero que la gente se involucre más, quiero que los jóvenes se involucren más y me parece que hay que sumarlos. Tienen mucha energía, tienen mucha voluntad. Lo que están haciendo con el movimiento por el cambio climático es espectacular. Hay una potencia ahí, una fuerza, unas ganas, una voluntad, una rebeldía necesaria, porque a medida que nos volvemos viejos, nos achanchamos.
La hipoteca te mata, sí.
Y la hipoteca te mata. Entonces, que bueno, me parece que hay que sumar mucho más juventud, ir a las universidades, ir a las escuelas secundarias. Hay mucho talento ahí, hay muchas ideas, mucha creatividad, mucho pensar fuera del sistema. Y me parece que es fundamental.
Bueno, hay que decir que Patricio, aunque sea activista de software y una cosa más tecnológica, tú empezaste a estudiar filosofía para arrancar, ¿no? O sea, que ¿cómo fue?
Sí, mi época adolescente fue traumática. Como creo que todos los adolescentes, la pasé muy mal. Pero bueno, me confundí 3 veces de carrera. Así que bueno, si alguien está en ese proceso, siéntese tranquilo, al final como todo se acomoda. Pero sí, empecé estudiando arquitectura, grave error, durísimo. Después me cambié a filosofía, me encantaba, pero me iba a cagar de hambre, perdón.
Sí, vamos. Es así.
Era así. Y después, bueno, a través de mi hermano, que siempre fue un referente para mí, lo veía él con la computadora, con el software libre. Y fue, sí, a los 17 años instalé por primera vez mi distribución de Linux en mi computadora, con un método revolucionario que Ubuntu te mandaba un CD a tu casa. O sea, vos te registrabas a Ubuntu, que es una distribución de Linux, y te enviaba un CD para que vos pudieras instalar en tu computadora. Para lo cual nosotros, que considero parte del sur global, que no teníamos plata para pagar Windows, no teníamos plata para pagar licencia, no teníamos... De suerte en mi casa había una computadora, que alguien me enviara un CD gratis, y yo cuando instalé el Ubuntu, y dije, no tengo que craquear, no tengo que entrar en un foro raro, buscar keys ilegales. Hay un mundo, hay una libertad acá que es apasionante, y cuando... Digo, mira todas las aplicaciones y empezar a descubrir no solamente eso, sino que además, mira, puedo cambiar esta cosita del sistema operativo y puedo acceder al código y esa sensación de instalar por primera vez un software libre en mi máquina y la libertad que me dio fue lo que me terminó.
That I needed. Ubuntu was providing me with the software for free, and they even sent me a free CD to my place, over to my place. So they really bought me with that, and well, I decided to specialize in software engineer, information systems engineering, which allowed you to make a living, right? Yes, that was one of the reasons too. So you started work in the private sector, and you started a professional career. But then I found the Open Knowledge Foundation because the private sector was not your cup of tea, right? In Argentina, there is a famous song, a famous tango. The lyrics are, well, the world is just full of shit. Well, that is what I felt in the private sector. I was working very long hours. I was working through the day to make Microsoft or other companies get bigger and bigger. Well, that wasn't my thing, so I started a startup with other investors in Argentina, 150 employees after a couple of years, but I wasn't happy. I had meetings scheduled with Microsoft and many other corporations, and then I said, well, I'm fed up. I don't like what I do. But everybody kept telling me, but your money and your future prospects, well, I simply don't like it. And then I started reading books and watching films. So I decided to dare and quit and resign. It was difficult. It was hard, but then I did it. And we spent 8 hours at least a day at work, so you better like what you do. I come from a privileged position because, well, I have a house in Argentina that my parents gave me for free, so of course that also allowed me to make some bold decisions that probably other people can't make. I was an open source data in Argentina for some time. And then, thanks to that, I also found a job that allowed me to make a living. Not a lot of money, but it's okay. I like it. Well, we only have one life. You better make it a happy life. So within this Knowledge Foundation, you're working on open public infrastructure for elections. right? This is very interesting because it's like the end of a cycle. When I started out my activism career, I said to myself, I want to fight for democracy in Argentina. I said to myself, the latest dictatorship has to be the last one. We don't want any more dictatorships in Argentina. We like voting. It's a right that we have conquered. So when I see the voting percentages here in Europe, I am really astonished because in Argentina it's at least 85%. We vote, and then the results of the vote, well, I don't want to speak about it. But so being able to work in an organization that tries to make elections more transparent is like the end of a cycle for me. It's like closing the circle because we want elections to be completely transparent. We need to defend what we have, but for that we need to understand it. For me, democracy is taken for granted by many people. This is a democracy. Everything will be good. No. Well, you have to defend democracy. You have to pretend democracy. How can you defend it or protect it if the software that is used for elections is not transparent, public, collaborative, inclusive for the citizens that take part in the elections? So free software, open source software is a way to promote democracy, to make it more transparent and to involve the citizens. 10 minutes left. I have many questions here. I have to skip some of them. Well, IT and elections. Well, in Spain, we go to the polling station, we get the scrutiny before midnight, and, well, we accept them, but do you think it is reliable, the use of technology in elections in Europe or in Spain? Well, the process, I think it is reliable. I am against the use of electronic polling systems. The use is reliable. There's a system that takes the data from the box, and then there is someone who writes down, well, through an iPad or wherever, a tablet. They send all the details, all the results to a central station, and then they publish the results around midnight. Well, the results should be audited, but it's not for me to say, or it is not because I'm saying so. Citizens should know or should want to know if the system is reliable or not just by trusting the system or the company that analyzes the results. Is the system audited? Well, last elections, I don't know whether it was the local or the national elections, journalists were using the platform and the real-time platform where data were published, but the data were like frozen, the screen was frozen for 2 hours, and then suddenly the data were updated. We just took them and said, okay, they must be okay. Well, in Argentina, it was the same. At 10 p.m., the screen was frozen, and then around midnight, the results were updated again, and one of the seats had disappeared. Instead of going to one party, it went to a different party. Well, it's like the constituencies needs to know this. The same happened in Brazil. For example, Bolsonaro requested an audit of the election results last time. So when Bolsonaro said, open the software, analyze the software, and I said, open, break the software. You can open it and see if he won. Okay, then close it again. Well, aside from technology, we are seeing how some consolidated democratic systems are really at stake. I don't know if you watched the debates of the Spanish parliament yesterday, full of aggressions and calling names, name calling and things like that. And citizens are completely are turning their backs to the politicians. In Spain, I think participation in the elections is around 50%. So that means that half of the population don't really care. Yes, politics is a necessary evil, because when politics is not there, then you have dictators, Franco, Videla, Putin. So politics is necessary. You must get involved in politics. If everything goes well, everything's well. But when things go wrong, then it's no longer talking about totalitarianism in China, Russia. No, it's here at your front door. I don't want to scare you out, but it is true. Why you live in such a financially unstable country? And I say to them, well, try living in Argentina, where your family members can die in jail.
Pues así es.
That is absolutely true. 5 minutes left. Questions from the audience, right? Well, let me make just one question, please. What about data journalism? I am a journalist, so I'd like to know, well, a fact, it's a fact. 5%, 10%, okay. But then media can manipulate it or interpret it to their own for their own purposes. Can you see a lot of manipulation in Spain? What do you think? What's your opinion or your feeling about mass media manipulation in Spain? Yes, of course, manipulation is always there. Propaganda is a political reality, a historical, a human reality. Politicians use propaganda. The problem in attacking democracy is that if you try to attack disinformation with new technologies, you're going to find yourself with the same problem later, because these new technologies that you're using to fight disinformation will be used to create disinformation later. So even if I'm a technologist, I do not trust technology to fight disinformation because it's not a technological problem. It is a social problem. It is a methodological mistake. You have to fight disinformation through education, social work, etc. Yes, I remember conversations about fake news. Do you think fake news are really, really harmful? Because it looks like you cannot trust anybody or anything. It's the same problem. It's an education problem. Of course, we do have some mass dissemination tools. Radio used to be a mass dissemination tool back in the day. So fake news is part of the dynamics of power, the democratic dynamics. The dynamics of democracy means that fake news will always be there. They will always be part of the debate. They'll always be there. So let's not attack them through the use of technology, but through the awareness of the society. But are you scared of artificial intelligence? These videos featuring Biden, even with his own voice, but it's not Biden. As I talked to my granny, and she says, well, you know that our president is part of an organization that kills babies and eats kidneys. And how you know that? Well, I received this video, and you see that it is a very disgusting and ridiculous video that, of course, is totally It's a fake video. It's a prank. So you have to ask everybody, okay, who's your source? What's your source? A newspaper, a video, or whatever. You have to do your own fact-checking. There are many technologies, but the basis lies on us. If you lack philosophical education, democratic education, you can buy whatever is served your way. Any reality can be sold to you. You need critical thinking. It is not a technological problem. It is an educational issue. 2 minutes for questions in the audience. Okay, let's go. Any questions?
Hola.
Hello, Patricio. Congrats on your initiative. I find it very useful. My question is, in Argentina and Spain, as far as I know, I suppose it's the same in other countries, what you are proposing about democratization of the transparency of the elections sounds good, okay, but many politicians, many incumbent politicians, the big political parties are not keen defendants of transparency. So how would you impose it, or how would you make them accept it or collaborate with this? Well, two ways, two strategies are possible. In the dynamics of power, some parties do not want transparency at a given time, but they might be in favor of transparency 4 years later. So let's use that moment. Let's use that time when they are the shadow cabinet. And then you can also make them fight each other. If you say, well, this political party is in favor of transparency, so if you're not in favor, you say that you're against it, but also you have to be in favor because you are against that party, right? I've been studying politics, or how the political systems work, for 10 years, and there are many young people that are eager to working and changing the way politics work. It's a bottom-up approach. Many people who are passionate about changing how politics work. And then secondly, we have international organizations that foster the use of these democratic practices. For example, now, nobody wants someone like Trump in Europe. So now you have to go to those parties and their governments, hey, you need election transparency, otherwise you will have Trump in Europe. And then you won't have any tools to evict Trump, to expel Trump. So use politics for your own benefit. So that's why you need to get involved in the political momentum. One more question, please. And aside from the elections, do you think we could have a media that is totally transparent? Because media are not really transparent because, well, they interpret the facts and even figures and numbers to their own benefit. Do you think a really transparent medium is possible? Well, no. I'm not a journalist, but I understand how journalists work. They have an agenda, or hidden or transparent agenda. They are leftist or right wing. So that is what the readers need to know. And that is critical thinking. What is being said by who? Who is behind that? What's the source? Are they left-wing or right-wing? So whatever I read, let me check the source of the data. I am in favor of states and governments. If there is no states, then we have dictators. That's why we have legal tools for our interaction with the state. We have the Freedom of Information Act and the states that have open data portals are legally bound to show that information to the audience, to the public. So we cannot be apolitical. We cannot always say, well, governments are full of corrupts. Let us not talk to them. When you talk to them, you can make them tell you the truth. They are legally bound to tell the truth when certain mechanisms are exerted. There is this Freedom of Information Act that you can evoke to force them to reply to you. There are some legal dispositions, some legal clauses that can force them to give you certain information if you so request. So I think politics is like a necessary evil, and it is disgusting. But some people are fueling a campaign against politics. You have to be aware of that. So we have to critically trust politicians and let us collaborate with the states, with the civil society, instead of throwing stones at each other. Thank you.